You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Beyond the Wheel podcast, Driver's Edition. And it's Sean and Kenny here, and we're here to talk about who owns who in the RV world is going to be our main topic tonight.
But before we get started, I have a favor to ask. We'd really appreciate it if everybody that's listening right now could hop on to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating. That would really help our ranking and make it easier for others to find us. If you would like to also take that one step further, you can also leave us a review, and we would definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you're watching this on Facebook while we're live, go ahead and like our Facebook page as well. And that's just kind of a way, I got this from another podcast, Kenny, actually. They call it a gentleman's agreement. And like, you're not paying for us to provide the content to you. So what we ask in return, instead of giving us money, is to either, follow us on Facebook or give us a rating on whatever podcast platform you listen to. Yeah.
Well, Sean, to be honest, that's where I got the idea to ask the audience for the for the Apple ranking as well, because I was listening to another podcast, and they were like, it's really important for you guys to, I didn't know this, but they're like, it's really important for you guys to leave us a rating, and helps our rankings and helps us get found by others. I was like, oh, should Sean and I be asking for this as well? I guess we should. And like you said, the podcast is completely free. So I like the idea of the gentleman's handshake where, we're not charging anything, but if you could just take a moment of your time to go ahead and like everything that you can like, and leave us ratings anywhere you can leave us a rating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a good idea. And again, we don't ask for any money, but a rating or a review or a follow would be payment enough, I think.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And then before we get into this, who owns who, I also wanted to take a chance. Well, Sean and I also wanted to take a chance to thank the FMCA Club for hosting us at their 106th Convention and RV Expo. Sean and I really had a great time. We got to meet a lot of nice people. We did a lot of interviews in the morning, and then we even kind of branched out a little bit, and we did some RV tours with the folks at FMCA. They set us up on their Facebook page and set us up with somebody to work a camera for us. That was a lot of fun for us to do those tours. But we just really enjoy ourselves at that show. We like being part of the community, mixing up with people, hearing about the way that you travel, what RV you're in. And it's just it's a great show. So if you haven't been to an FMCA show, we highly recommend it. We think it's a lot of fun. And Sean and I, we've already been asked to be back next year at their 108th convention in Tucson. So make your plans now.
And I had a lot of fun when we went to Tucson last time, but I feel like I had even more fun this time at this one.
We were definitely busier. This week flew by. I couldn't believe just how fast this, 4 full days. Yeah. We get there a day before, and we normally leave the day after. You actually left that same night. You had places to be, but yeah. So, I was out there for 6 days, and I couldn't believe it was over already. It just goes by so fast. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and there were definitely more people at this one, I think, than the last one.
I thought so too. Yeah, I thought there was a lot of foot traffic, or just a lot of hustle and bustle going on. I thought there was I agree. This had a really good crowd, and I wonder if that's just signs of, COVID getting better and more under control. People are more comfortable with coming out and doing like in-person interactions. But yeah, I felt the same way. I thought this was a lot more people than the Tucson show, and I thought the Tucson show had a lot of people. What did they say, Sean? Can you remember how many RVs? Was it 1,700?
Something like that.
It was
It was
in
a
that
lot.
area. I mean, yeah, over 1,000, under 2,000 RVs, but most people travel with somebody. So, you're talking over 2,000 people were there for sure.
Yeah, and the entertainment was really good. I mean, I had a great time even when we weren't working. I had a great time.
Yeah, we went in, we saw the dueling pianos at night. They were really good. Yeah, it was a really good show. Really good show.
Yeah.
The weather was perfect for me, but maybe not for everybody else.
It was a little chilly in the mornings. But
mornings were chilly. Mornings were definitely chilly. But all of our guests, man, they were all pros. They just showed up with a jacket. Some of them didn't even do a jacket, even though it was like 40 degrees in the morning. To be sitting, and collecting your thoughts in colder temperatures, it's not always easy. But
you might have intimidated them, Kenny, because you were in short sleeves.
I was in my t-shirt, yeah. Although the older I get, I don't know if anybody else is like this listening, but the older I get, the less I seem to handle the cold. When I was a teenager, I could go to like the Poconos in Pennsylvania, and it would be 10 degrees, and I could wear a t-shirt. I couldn't do that now. There's no way I could be in a t-shirt in 10 degrees anymore. It's funny, my wrists get cold. I notice that my nose gets cold now. That stuff never happened when I was younger.
Yep, getting old.
Yeah, it's no fun, guys. Don't do it.
So I think one question or one thing that a lot of people don't realize when they buy an RV is that kind of at the top of the RV food chain is only a couple of companies that kind of dominate the RV industry. And so it's interesting to know, to learn just how much stuff is owned by just a very few amount of companies.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. There's 4 big companies, and those 4 combined own over 90% of the RVs that are manufactured here in the United States. I think that blew me away. I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. I mean, at the very top is definitely Thor, and I feel like Thor might, I don't know, this isn't an official number, but I bet you Thor on their own does about 80%, maybe 70% of it. And then the other companies kind of make up that rest of it. But yeah, we thought it would be kind of fun to break it down and let you guys know, like, who does own who does Thor own, who does Winnebago own, who does the Rev Group own, and Fleet, and now I can't remember. What was the other one, Sean? It is
Winnebago, Thor, the Rev Group, and Forest River.
Forest River. That's it. Forest River. I couldn't remember the Forest River. I even have notes here, and I still couldn't find them. So I thought we could start with Thor just because they're the largest. And some of these, you might be surprised to hear their names. Some of them you might be like, oh, I didn't realize. When we come up with this list, I'm telling you guys, you're going to be surprised at just how much Thor owns on their own. The companies that you're going to be familiar with are definitely Airstream, Integra, Jayco, Heartland, Keystone, Tiffin, and StarCraft. They are all names that most likely, if you've been shopping for an RV or if you have RV'd for a little bit, you recognize.
And I was surprised that Tiffin was owned by Thor for some reason. I didn't realize that until we started looking at it.
Me too. Well, Keystone was a surprise for me. I didn't realize that Keystone was owned by Thor. I thought Keystone was their own manufacturer or brand, and they are. A lot of times what happens is Thor might buy the company, but they don't really shake things up too much. They don't really change things up. It's not like they do away with that brand. That brand stays right where they're at. The manufacturing plant stays right where they're at. The employees stay right where they're at. It's just that, in a sense, Thor kind of absorbs that company and starts to absorb the profits that company is making. Most of the time,
it doesn't even say Thor on these brands.
Yeah. Like, you're not going to see Airstream. You're not going to see a new Airstream coming down the line that says Airstream by Thor. It's just going to say Airstream, just like it always has, which I think is definitely the right way to go. I think I think letting these companies keep their originality is the way I prefer it anyway. I don't necessarily want to see Airstream made by Thor on the side of the Airstream. If I owned it, I would probably take that Thor decal off and just leave the Air, if it was me anyway. Yeah, so Keystone I was surprised about, and Jayco was another company that I was surprised. I didn't realize that Jayco was also.
I think we both thought that they were their own thing.
Yeah, I thought they were their own thing.
And that they owned companies.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought, if anything, Jayco owned other companies. I didn't realize that Jayco was part of the Thor family. I thought Jayco was its own, and they owned other companies. And Sean might know these other names, so which I didn't know, is like DRV, I think, was a company that you recognize the name of, and I do not.
Yeah, they make the mobile suites fifth wheel, which is a high-end fifth wheel. That's how I know it.
Okay.
Tom and Kate Morton had a DRV mobile suites.
Oh, okay. Morton's on the move.
Point. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
when we filmed that documentary with them several years ago now, they were in their DRV.
Oh, okay. I've seen their RV before, or that fifth wheel that they used to have. I never really paid attention, I guess, to the name on it. Well, Dutchman's another pretty popular brand, and that's also owned by Thor. So
I think they mostly make travel trailers, right?
I think they're travel trailers. Highland Ridge RV, I think, is also traveler trailers, maybe fifth wheels.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with them.
I think I've seen the fifth wheels with that name on it. Crossroads, I've heard of Crossroads before. Did not know that they were owned by Thor. Cruiser RV is not the name I'm familiar with. It's not a brand that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, me either.
You either? All right. KZ Recreational?
Yes, I've heard of them.
Don't know them. Do you know what they make? I'm guessing towables also.
Cruiser RV is towables.
Okay.
KZ Recreational, I think they're motorized, but let me just look real quick while we're talking. And
all right.
I think they make, oh no, they do. They make fifth wheels, travel trailers, fifth wheels, and toy haulers. So all towables again.
Okay. And then there's a Redwood RV, which I'm not familiar with.
Fifth wheels.
Fifth wheel, you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Sean's better
They're
with the
actually
towables.
Redwoods are really nice. I really like the Redwoods.
So are they a high end?
No, I wouldn't say high end.
Would they be around like Grand Design level?
Yeah.
Okay. What about Venture? Do you know Venture?
I have not heard of Venture, but they make travel trailers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
the Sonic. You've heard of the Sonic travel trailer?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
It sounds vaguely familiar. Is that the one that's got like the corrugated siding and not like a fiberglass side?
I think there's.
Or is that StarCraft?
No, that's StarCraft. They're like the fiberglass side, but they're smaller.
Okay.
Smaller travel trailers. I see quite a few of them in campgrounds.
I'll have to keep a look. Now that we're doing this, I'm actually, the next time I go to a campground, I might even make a little cheat sheet and then start like walking around and pay more attention to brand names of RVs just to get myself a little bit more familiar with what else is out there. Well, you know what it is? I haven't shot for an RV in
a long time.
Almost 7 years. Actually over 7 years. I guess that's part of the reason why some of these names don't sound that familiar to me. And then, of course, Thor also owns Thor Motor Coach. They own Thor Motor Coach, which would be also names that you would be familiar with like the Ace, the Hurricane, and things like that. But Thor also owns companies that make the appliances that go into the RV. This is how huge Thor is alone. I always hear people talk about how big Thor is. I just never realized. So they own Aqua Hot, which I had no idea. I thought Aqua Hot was their kind of own thing. But then the other thing that they own Airxcel. So
which in itself owns a lot of stuff.
Correct. Yeah. So once they bought Airxcel, that means they now own Coleman and MCD and Max Air, Dicor. Like these are Suburban. These are companies that are in every RV, every manufacturer. So you could have a Winnebago, but you don't have MCD shades in there, which are kind of owned by Thor. I thought that was really crazy. I was like, man, I had no idea Thor owns so much. And then they also own companies that I never heard of before, but apparently are big in the RV, like Clear Vision. I wasn't familiar with them. CV Tempered Glass. I mean, I can kind of assume what they make, but I've never heard of the actual company before. And then I thought it was funny too, because they own United Shade, and United Shade to me is a competitor of MCD Shade, but they own both of them. So it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too that they own Vixen Composites, who make a lot of the walls, I think.
Yep. They make a lot of the sidings for these RVs. Yeah, I thought, the fact that they own Dicor, and Dicor goes like into every single RV. Airstream might not use Dicor. I'm not 100% sure about that.
Yeah, and every RV dealer is their repair facilities, any service center probably has tons of Dicor, uses tons of Dicor.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about Dicor later on in this episode too, which is kind of funny. But Thor is like, I would say that they are the major player in the RV industry. They have probably a lot of pull. I'm sure they kind of, lobby for things. I think they have a lot of say in what happens in the RV industry, just based on who and what they own.
They own a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And really they own a lot of high end, like, Integra. That's a high end coach. Tiffin is a high end coach. So Thor's probably doing okay. Even with this, as we're going into this decrease in sales, I would imagine Thor is doing just fine.
Yeah, and they own some of the smaller brands too, like like we were talking about the Venture, that little Sonic travel trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so they're kind of positioned to make money in any environment, really.
Yeah, no matter what, entry, all the way from entry level to high end, they're getting cut. Yeah, their consumer base is a pretty good wide range of who can come in, and they're getting the first time buyers and repeat buyers. They're like you said, Sean, they're definitely positioned to be making money no matter what the RV climate is.
Yeah. Then we go to your favorite, Kenny.
Winnebago is my favorite. Yep. And Winnebago owns a couple companies that you may or may not realize they do not own as much as Thor, but of course they own the motorized and their own towables. So RVs like mine, like the Vista, and they also own vans like the Revel. And then in the towable side of things, they own the Hike and the Hike 100 and things like that.
What is that? The Mini Winnie? What's the little?
The Micro Mini.
Micro Mini, that's it.
So that's all Winnebago towables. But then they also own Grand Design, which is more on the higher end of fifth wheels. But Grand Design sells bumper pools as well.
Yeah, and there's lots of Grand Designs.
There's lots. I'm pretty sure I see more Grand Design fifth wheels than any other RV when I'm at a campground. That Solitude, I see the Solitude everywhere.
I was at a campground the other day, I think. Sometime this week, I happened to be going by a campground, and there were 3 Grand Design fifth wheels parked right next to each other, all in a row. So, yeah, they're everywhere.
Maybe traveling together, and maybe not.
I was at the NASCAR race in Richmond last week. And there were 3 Grand Designs parked side by side in the RV parking area.
And there's a chance that they know each other, but there's also a pretty good chance that they don't know each other. It's just just that's how popular those Grand Designs are. And then Winnebago also owns Newmar, which you may or may not know. It's funny. I have a friend that RVs in a Class A. He owns a Newmar, and he's now rebranded his Newmar to be a Newbago. That's what he likes to call his Newmar. His Newmar is now a Newbago.
And they haven't owned Newmar for very long, right? It was like right before COVID, I think.
I would say it's been 3 to 4 years. So shortly before COVID. It wasn't. It hasn't been a crazy long time. They also own. So Winnebago is kind of branching out, I guess you could say, and wants to become more of a recreational brand and not just an RV brand. So they actually purchased Chris Craft again, probably right after they bought Newmar. Chris Craft is a boating company, and they also purchased a company called Barletta, which is like a pontoon boat company. So I think Winnebago is trying to kind of branch out and become a recreational brand and not just an RV brand. And again, just like Thor does kind of the same thing. You're not going to see a Chris Craft by Winnebago. They're not going in, changing things up. I really think these companies just buy these other companies just to absorb the profits, really. I don't really think they make a whole lot of changes to these companies when they purchase them, because they would be shooting themselves in the foot. These companies are already popular. People have what's the brand loyalty to them. So they don't want to mess that up. They don't want people to say, oh, I can't buy an Airstream now because Thor owns them. Like,
right.
The name Airstream is just as popular now as it's ever been, type of thing. They don't want, these companies don't want to mess with that. But
I was telling you, Kenny, the other day that I was looking at some auto auctions, and there was a Airstream. I think it was a 2016 Airstream, and I can't remember what model it was, but it was like the medium-sized Airstream, and it had a salvage title. And I looked at it yesterday, in fact, and I think the actual auction is on the 14th of this month, and they already had bids of 17,000 for this Airstream that is basically salvage. I guess they're going to fix it and try and resell it.
Yeah, I guess that would be the plan. But I would think when you have a salvage title that you're putting a decent amount of money into that to get that roadworthy again. You're already paying $18,000 just for it. Now you're going to pay a lot of money to get it roadworthy again.
Yeah.
How much profit could be left in it to really kind of be a flip? But yeah, that's just how popular they are and how well they hold their value. I always look at Airstreams almost like Jeeps. Like when you look at an Airstream, it's hard to tell what year it is. They kind of all look the same. I feel the same way about Jeep. When you look at a Jeep, it's kind of difficult to tell what year Jeep it is because they all kind of look very similar. And I wonder if that's part of the reason of why they hold their value, because you don't have an Airstream that looks old, because a 1970 or a 1980 Airstream looks very similar to the 2020 Airstream. So I wonder if that's part of the reason why they hold their value so well, because there isn't like an old style or
Right.
or like retro. Last year's model type of look to it.
It's always retro.
It's always in style. It's got the retro look. Yeah, it's probably more in style now than it's ever been, type of thing.
And then recently, we both found this kind of interesting, that Winnebago acquired Lithionics.
Yep, which is
so they're moving into the accessories, kind of like Thor owns a lot of that stuff there.
Yep,
and starting to branch out.
And it's weird. It's weird because I think Lithionics, just like Thor owning Dicor, Lithionics is used in other RVs. So and again, maybe it goes back to that recreational idea that Winnebago is trying to become just a recreational brand and not just an RV brand. But I feel like Lithionics is only known for RVs, I believe, right? That's the only
way I know them, but
that's the only way I know them too. So maybe that doesn't fall into their plan of like just overall recreational, unless they would start putting Lithionics into a Chris Craft boat or a Barletta,
right,
or something like that. Yeah, I thought that was a really.
There may not be any reason why they couldn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm watching that closely. I'm really curious to see what they do with Lithionics, because it definitely surprised me. I didn't know. I was surprised that they would buy a lithium battery company, but I also look at it and say, well, maybe Winnebago's planning on going all lithium in all their maybe all their RVs will now become, maybe lithium batteries will become a standard. I know other companies are going that way. Isn't Keystone, I believe, going standard with Dragonfly? I think it will be standard.
It's in a lot of their RVs now. So yeah, I'm not sure if standard's the right word, but
Okay.
you
Still,
can definitely have them installed at the factory.
so still optional right now.
Yeah, I
Factory
can't
option.
say either way. Yeah,
I
but
could have swore I just saw a post this
they could very well be standard.
this
Yeah.
week, but maybe they didn't use the word. It might have just been factory optional now in all Keystones, and that's probably the difference right there.
But I think we are headed that way.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time before I think everybody realizes, even the manufacturers realize the benefits of going with a lithium battery where it's lighter, you're able to use the full thing, it's maintenance free. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time when that is. I don't know, but I'll be happy when we're actually using. I hope someday we start using lithium starter batteries. I know Tesla's going that way now. For a long time, Tesla was using lead acid starter batteries, but now they're using lithium. And I think you just showed me there was a Porsche maybe using a lithium battery.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a Porsche.
I think it was in that rebuild, that Matt Armstrong. I think that was a lithium battery in that Porsche that he was rebuilding.
That's right. Yep.
So
it was a lithium.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to lithium starter batteries too. And then I'll be able to, like, if I could put a lithium starter battery in my RV next to my Battleborn batteries that are under my stairs, I would be able to close that area off. It would make the ride a little quieter. And I don't know, it would just keep all those batteries in there, protect it from weather, everything. I think it would be nice to be able to do that. The next RV group, which has become very good friends of the show, is Rev Group. We've got a pretty good relationship with Don. And in fact, we even did a tour with Don out at the FMCA show. Don is the marketing director for the Rev Group, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that's his title. Super nice guy. He's been on the show, and we've had their interior designer on the show before. And Rev owns some very popular brands as well that you're going to recognize: American Coach, Holiday Rambler, and Fleetwood. I would say Fleetwood is one of those iconic RV names too. And I would have guessed that Fleetwood, before we started talking with Don and learning about the Rev Group anyway, I would have guessed that Fleetwood would be the main company, I would say. But just because they've been around for a long time, when you see a movie with an RV, I always feel like it's either a Winnebago or it's a Bounder, which is Fleetwood Bounder. I feel like they're the two Class A or motorhomes that you see in movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised by that. And then we just learned, even though we are with good relations with the Rev Group, that they own Lance. And we just learned that they owned Lance while we were, I think, at the FMCA show. We didn't know that Lance was part of their group.
So that's travel trailers and truck campers.
And truck campers. Yeah. I see a decent amount of truck campers made by Lance. I want to say that those are probably the ones I see the most. I see a lot of Arctic Fox truck campers of lately, which is your brand. But yeah, I feel like Lance is really known for their truck campers more than anything else.
Yep.
And then Rev also owns Renegade, which is like a high-end Super C.
Nice.
Which, nice. Really nice. Really nice. I've never driven one, but I always hear that they are the best driving RVs. Not generally Renegades. I'm sure they do R2, but I always hear Super Cs because you get the diesel engine. It's a soft ride. You also get a lot of safety feature, airbags and adaptive cruise, and a lot of the things that go into like a normal Class C that you would have. So I always hear that Super Cs, if you're serious and you got serious money, that's the way to go, because you need serious money for.
Those are considered pullers, not pushers.
Yeah, I guess they would be pullers. They don't even call them that though, because they're not on a Class A frame. They're built on, I guess it would be a cutaway chassis in their case. Yeah, so they just call them Super Cs. They don't even. The chassis itself isn't usually mentioned as far as pusher or puller when it comes to those Super Cs.
The thing I like about them over like a Class A is that your engine isn't over any part of the RV. Like, so it's probably easier for maintenance and things like that compared to a Class A where they gotta like go in through your actual living area to get to parts of the motor and stuff.
Yeah, it's got to be easier because those, I mean, I love my Class A, but yeah, as far as even for me, when I change my own oil, Sean, you might find this funny. I can't buy like a big quart, or not a big quart. I can't buy like a 5 quart jug to change my oil because there's no way I can fit it in that engine compartment. I have to buy little, it's the easiest way for me to do it. I could do a funnel and set up a whole contraption, but it's just easier for me to buy, the 6 quarts separately and, actually reach in there and put them in. I cannot fit that 5 quart container to change my oil in my RV because of just you're literally sitting on top of that engine and there's just no space. They give you this little tiny doorway in the front that accesses. It's not the most convenient vehicle to work on for sure. It is one of its downsides. They also own a company called Midwest Automotive Design, and I had to look them up. So Rev owns Midwest Automotive Design, and they look to be a conversion Sprinter B-van type of manufacturer, but I've never actually heard of them before. But it might be interesting for maybe us to get them on the show now that, like I said, I mean, we are pretty friendly with Rev. I don't see, we could probably get them on and learn more about them and maybe let the audience know more about them too. And then Rev also owns Gold Shield Fiberglass, which does sidewall siding for RV construction.
And then we get to the last of the big daddies of the RV industry, and that's Forest River, which I didn't realize Forest River was as big as it was.
Yeah, me neither, Sean. Like I know when Sabrina and I were shopping, we liked a lot of the Forest Rivers. We found ourselves, for us, we were looking for Class A's. For us, it kept on coming back to Forest River brand and the Winnebago brand. And we obviously went with Winnebago. But yeah, we really liked what we were seeing out of Forest River too. But I didn't realize that they were this big either. Obviously, you have everything that Forest River makes under their own name. But then you also have Coachman, which I didn't know they owned. Dynamax, which I didn't know they owned. The Shasta, I've seen them. Didn't realize that they were owned by somebody. I thought that was one of those like smaller brands that were kind of independent.
Yeah, I thought Coachman was on its own too.
I thought Coachman was independent too. Palomino, I've seen them. I don't know a lot about them, but I would have guessed that they were also on their own. What we're finding out is that almost nobody's on their own anymore. No. So if you see
very few.
Yeah, we're going to name a couple of the companies before we wrap this section of the podcast up that are on their own, but there's really not there's not much. Primetime, so Forest River owns Primetime, and you might not recognize the Primetime name, but you might recognize like the Crusader or the Tracer. Mm-hmm. They're both towables, and they own them as well. And they own another company that I am not familiar with. I even looked them up to see if maybe it rang a bell, but East to West RV, I don't know them. They make Class C's and towables. Even knowing that they make Class C's and towables, they still did not sound familiar to me.
Yeah, me either. Yeah,
you either. Okay.
Yeah.
That's one that's lost on both of us. But yeah, that's a lot of companies that Forest River owns. So like we said earlier, so I read an article and I couldn't find it to bring it back up again, but Forest River, Winnebago, and Thor, just those three alone own 90% of all RVs made in the country. Once you throw the Rev Group in there, which we were just talking about with the American Coach, the Fleetwood, Holiday, Rambler, Lance, now you're talking, those four companies now own over 90%. They manufacture over 90% of the RVs made. And you're like, now you might be wondering, well, who's left? And there are
exactly.
And there are still some independent RV manufacturers. Most of them are new. So Alliance RV is a fifth wheel company, fairly new, 3 years old. Ember towables also even newer. I feel like they started right after Alliance did. You also have Storyteller Vans, also new. We saw them the first time was at RVX in 2018, 2017,
Yep.
2018. Yeah,
2018, yeah.
2018. And then you got Sean's brand, Arctic Fox, which is actually manufactured. What is your parent company?
It's Northwood Manufacturing, and they have Arctic Fox, Nash, and Fox Mountain.
Fox Mountain. And do you know about how old they are, about how long? They've been around for a little. They're not
A while.
they're not one of these newer companies, and they haven't been bought. And I wonder if
What's interesting about them is they do, like, they make the chassis that it sits on too.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, so they have, like, their chassis are specific to their RVs. I think a lot of other manufacturers are using like the same chassis.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, for sure. I think Tiffin makes their own, maybe.
Yeah,
I think it's either Tiffin or Newmar. I think it's Tiffin that makes their own chassis as well. But it's really, really unusual, very unusual for these companies. They usually go to another manufacturer or something like that. So there are a couple independents out there. I wonder, do they manufacture everything in Oregon, Sean?
Yeah.
So they're a little further out than everybody else, because just about everybody else is made in Indiana. Just about. I mean, you do have Winnebago that's in Iowa, but that's
and Tiffin is in Alabama. I think.
Alabama, yeah, but still more eastern. I wonder if I don't want to use the word protected, but I wonder if they're more safe or protected out on that West Coast that from being bought out. But that's everything as far as like the manufacturing side of things go. But you know, it doesn't really end like that, because there's also the appliance, like we mentioned earlier. Thor owns a couple of appliance companies, but then everything else that goes into these RVs is either made by Lippard, Dometic, Truma, or Thetford. They're really the only companies making all the appliances that go in, and that's including, like, Lippard makes all the slide mechanisms. They make the leveling jack mechanisms. I mean, those four companies pretty much make up the rest of the RV. So it's not just the manufacturers that own everything. These appliance companies do too.
I learned something yesterday, Kenny. Julie and I are shopping for new furniture for the inside of our RV. And everywhere we've ever looked, it's usually like some high-end custom furniture, or it's that Thomas Paine brand, which is, I think it's Lippard.
Yeah, I think that's Lippard.
But yesterday we were looking at furniture that's made by Thomasville, which is a regular furniture manufacturer.
Okay.
And they're making RV furniture now, and it was really comfortable.
They're going to get bought.
Yeah, they're going to get bought by Lippard probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're made in, I guess they got into it, from what I understood, and I could be wrong, but they got into it because when COVID started, a lot of the furniture, RV furniture, is made in China and is shipped over. And so RV manufacturers were having a hard time getting the furniture. But Thomasville, I believe, is made in North Carolina. I think that's the story behind it. Like I said, I'm just hearing that third hand, but I was glad to see a non-RV brand, Lippard, Thetford, or any of the other standard manufacturers making RV furniture.
Yeah, I like that. I like that there will be more options, especially when you're shopping for aftermarket stuff. Like, if you want to make changes to your RV, then that becomes even more useful. I think more useful than when you're purchasing the RV with everything in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it helps you find the best, not only fit, but comfort wise too, especially if they're making it for the RV, so that it
right.
Attachments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're changing you have theater seating now?
Theater seating, and that fake leather stuff that's on them, it starts to peel away after a couple of years. And so ours is peeling really bad. So we're going to switch those theater seats out for like a small RV sofa bed.
Oh, nice.
And so the Thomasville, actually, we found one that we really liked yesterday.
Oh, okay. Is that something that you need to order, or can you just buy and bring home same day?
Well, we went to Camping World and they have some in stock, but you get more selection if you order online.
Okay. Oh, but they're selling them right there at the camp. So they're in Camping World already.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
She said they haven't been carrying them very long, but they're in there now.
Oh, okay. And then do you get to pick colors and everything like that then too?
They only have a few colors right now. I think they have like a grayish color, and they have a gunmetal color, they call it, but it's really more like a walnut color to me. It looked like.
Okay.
So yeah, there's not a lot of options for colors, but like they have fabric and that vinyl stuff. So we were impressed.
Are you guys leaning towards fabric, or are you leaning towards like the vinyl?
Yeah, that's not up to me, Kenny.
Okay. I was just curious. If I were to buy something new now, I don't know which way I would lean. Either like the vinyl is pretty easy to clean, but I feel like the fabric appears to last long. Like you said, the vinyl stuff it just doesn't seem to weather as well. I don't know if it's sunlight or what's that does to it, but yeah.
But with Toby, I don't lean towards the fabric. Like I lean more towards the other stuff, just because they, like when we were invaded by that rainstorm in Georgia that one night. Oh, yeah. Toby would have tried to jump on that couch, and that would have been a mess.
Yeah, and it just absorbs everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that there's more options out there though for furniture for sure. And I guess I should also point out that we're not trying to say that this is a bad thing that companies own other companies. It's just it's just the way it is. We just found it interesting. We're not trying to say it's bad that Thor owns a lot or Winnebago owns a lot. We're not saying if your company's not owned by anything that's a bad thing or a good thing. We just found it kind of interesting.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's just the way it is, and we just didn't realize just how much is owned by somebody else, I guess. I think we have some time for some RV news.
Yeah, for sure.
I might go out of order just because we were just talking about RVing or the manufacturers anyway. But I wanted to point out that this was an article that I saw in RV Business that shipments for RVs this year are down by 57%, which I would think that puts a lot of buying power in the consumer right now. If you're shopping for an RV, so manufacturers have shipped out 45,000 units of RVs, which still sounds like a lot of RVs. I mean, yeah. But compared that to this time last year, it was 107,000
wow
RVs. So yeah, they're down 57%. So I think, if you're shopping for an RV, kind of keep in mind that the power at the moment is in your favor. I would say the downside for shopping right now is probably the interest rates, though, because now the interest rates are going to be high. You should be able to get a good final price, but the interest rates are going to be high on it.
There was, besides looking at furniture yesterday at Camping World, we just walked around the sales lot. They have a bunch of really nice used RVs out there that I guess, like 2020s, 2019s, 2021s that were, I think people bought them during that COVID time. And now that life's getting back to normal, they may be, selling them or getting rid of them or even upgrading. Yeah. But there was a lot of nice used inventory on the lot.
That would make sense too of why the new sales would be down if there's a lot of used on the lots. Dealers aren't going to bring in more inventory if they're already loaded up pretty much.
And I was surprised. There was probably 10 Class Bs, Travados, there was a Bolt, there was an Era, and then some non-Winnebago Class Bs out there. I thought the Class B, people normally hang on to those for a while, I think.
Yeah, and they're normally hard to find on a lot.
Yeah.
They're usually hard to come by, or at least they have been in the last couple of years, but with a 57% decrease and sale. I mean, that's not really sales. That's shipping, but that also in turn means that sales are down too.
But if you have cash to buy one now,
this would be the time to do it.
Now's a good time to start looking. Yeah.
Yeah. If you sold your RV at the height, now is the time to buy. I don't know, Sean. What do you think? Like, if you were looking right now, would you buy now or wait, thinking that the market is going to slow down even more?
Well, I think traditionally it picks up in the summer.
Yeah.
So true. I think it is going to pick up in the summer.
That's
probably
true.
Not to the extent that we've seen before, but I think now is probably a good time, or I would hold off until the fall or winter when I think it's going to be like it is now.
So either today or October.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And now's a good time though, because don't the 2024s start going on the lots like June, July?
I think it depends on the manufacturer. I think they all kind of space them out a little bit, but yeah, it should be right around now. I think it is right around now.
You might be able to get a good deal while they're trying to clean out their lot to make room for the new stuff.
Yeah, you should get a really good deal on a 23 right now, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's plenty out there for sale for sure.
Yeah. Now, like I said, now it's you have the power right now in shopping.
Yeah, not like last year where
that was rough. That was rough for everybody last year. So many horror stories online about people trying to shop, and people didn't even get a chance to really look at the RV, because if they hesitated and wanted to think about it, it sold from, they would just sell it right from under them, type of thing. But yeah, I think that was a little too much. We're getting back to a little bit more of a normal, I think. And then I thought this was interesting only because, so Earth Roamer, high end, kind of go anywhere type of thing. They're going to start manufacturing slide-in bed campers for EVs. And I found that interesting because I'm almost 90% sure, like a Ford Lightning says, do not put a slide-in bed camper in the back of their Lightning. And
really?
Yeah. And I get that from a automotive group that I follow, TFL. They put a truck camper in the back of their Lightning that they owned, but they said when they did it that Ford told them not to. It's not recommended to put one. And I can't imagine why, other than the fact that it totally destroyed their range, but the truck's got plenty of capacity as far as weight goes. But yeah, Ford is claiming not to put, they don't want that. So I was surprised to see Earth Roamer making truck bed campers. I don't know if that's the norm for Rivian, or I feel like Rivian's got doesn't have a very deep bed like other pickup trucks do, because they got like a little bit of storage under there. Also, Rivian is a very different shape compared to everybody else too. So I would imagine like Earth Roamer would be making EV bed campers for, say, the Ford Lightning, the new Ram that's coming out with a 500-mile range.
I have heard of other companies starting to design them for the Tesla truck whenever that comes out. So
I have heard that too. Yeah, I have heard that too. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting because I'm sure Earth Roamer does a ton of research before they put anything out, just because of just how expensive, like people put out a lot of money for something made by Earth Roamer.
I wonder though, I want to know why Ford doesn't recommend it.
I don't know. They didn't go into details. TFL anyway didn't go into details. They just said when they were doing it, it's not recommended. Ford told them it wasn't recommended, but we're doing it anyway, type of thing. And like I said, it definitely severely decreased their range, but that would be, I mean, that's kind of just what it is. Like, I mean, you're adding weight and you're making it less aerodynamic. So of course it's on to decrease range.
But I wonder if their bed construction is different or something.
Maybe it's the size. I didn't think it was. I thought the Lightning used the same chassis, different, but I thought they used the same body as a regular F-150. But yeah, that's a good question, Sean. Maybe something is different in the construction, though, that they don't want you putting any weight on top of those side rails, the rear bed side rails, for some reason. That could be it. That could be it.
I like the renditions they have for these Earth Roamer slide-in bed. They look pretty cool.
They do look pretty sharp. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that they're taking aerodynamics into play and stuff like that, especially when talking about EV kind of stuff. Some other news, we talked about Dicor not too long ago because Thor owns them, but Dicor just released or is releasing two new, what do you even call Dicor? It's not really caulk, but it's a sealant, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess you
sealant.
could just call it a sealant. And Dicor is releasing two new sealants, and they'll be in a different thickness. It's a 0.035 thickness compared to their other formula that was a 0.027 thickness. But the new thickness, it'll be a little thicker, but it's also going to be less sensitive to solvents. So when you're going up there and cleaning your roof, or even probably just like your routine maintenance, it's going to be a little bit more resilient. And it says that it's designed to reduce print through from the RV roof. So you're going to have a much cleaner look on that roof. You won't see bubbles. You're not going to see outlines of other things because of when it settles. It settles at a thicker amount, I guess. It would be the best way.
I imagine it will help too with like birds pecking at it. Maybe the birds won't be able to peck all the way through.
I hope so, because that's the problem I have with mine. Our birds love to peck at our sealant.
Or anything puncturing it. Maybe it'll help with keeping some protection if it gets punctured.
Yeah, well, Dicor Products released and said, that it's going to be a high solid sealant, resists puckering and wrinkling as it cures. So yeah, maybe it will just be more solid, and maybe, like you said, maybe the birds won't be able to peck through it. It's a real problem.
Yeah, it is.
Birds messing with the sealant is a problem. I don't know if it must taste good to them or something, or they're just bored. But yeah, they like to mess with it. But as we learned earlier, Dicor is also owned by Thor, so Thor making some moves there too, I guess. And then Microair, we're very friendly with Microair. In fact, Microair stopped by our RVs while we were at the FMCA show to share some information with us. But they are entering the Australian market, and it's kind of funny. I thought they were already in the Australian market.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay. So you were surprised by that too. Yeah. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that this was news. I thought they were already part of the Australian market.
Yeah, and I guess it's going to be all their products.
Yeah, I was thinking it was really just the soft start, but yeah, I agree, Sean. It's probably all their products.
Does your thermostat? You have the Easy Touch thermostat.
Yep.
Can you put that into Celsius instead of Fahrenheit?
That is a very good question, Sean.
I'm pretty sure over there they would use Celsius.
They would use Celsius.
I'm wondering if there was any, if that capacity was already built in. Well, you just had a major update on yours. So
So
maybe that was part of the reason for such a big update, is to make it the software, compliant with Australian rules, I guess.
Yeah. So I just quickly opened up my app here for my Microair, and I don't see anywhere on here to change it to Celsius. But that's not to say that if they enter that market, that anything shipped there is automatically in Celsius. But I do not see anywhere in this app that would let me to make those changes. Yeah, I'm going to say no.
I think we're the only weird country that uses Fahrenheit.
Yeah. I don't think anybody else does.
I mean, even Canada uses
Celsius. Yeah. We're 90% sure we're the only ones.
Yeah.
We're the weirdos. That was really all the news. I didn't really feel like this was a very strong news month so far anyway. And it's possibly because sales and everything are coming down a little bit. Maybe there's just maybe nobody's making any big changes or chances at the moment. But we wanted to let you know where you'll be able to find us next. So if you were at the FMCA show, I know a couple of you came out and you said hi to us, and Sean and I always appreciate that. I will be at the Overland Expo West. I'll be working at the Winnebago display. Sabrina, my wife, will be there with me, and we'll be there from the 19th to the 21st. But Sabrina will only be at the display on that Saturday. She'll just be there at display on 20th. But if you're going to be there Sunday and for whatever reason you want to meet us or whatever, just shoot me a message through here, leave a comment, and we'll make something happen. Sabrina's on the property on Sunday. She's just not at the booth on Saturday. So we will, if you want to meet us and you're not able to see her on Saturday, you can meet Sabrina on a Sunday if you reach out to me.
It's well worth it. It's well worth it.
It is. Sabrina's always a crowd pleaser. It's pretty funny.
I'm not going to be anywhere, Kenny. My RV, I got it out of the shop just to take it down to Georgia for the FMCA rally. And it's back in the shop. The holdup is the manufacturer. So I have a gray tank that has a leak. And they sent the dimensions to the manufacturer. And they sent the wrong tank back. They're having to reorder the tank. And unfortunately, it's like a 24 to 30 day turnaround time.
Wow.
For them to manufacture these tanks. So I'm hoping to get it back by May so we can start taking some trips. But yeah, it's kind of a bummer. We went yesterday really just to visit it. And
just to say
it's weird not having it. Yeah, it's weird not having it parked in the driveway, you know?
Yeah. It is a strange feeling. Like when I drop my RV off for service and if it's got to stay there for a couple of days, it is weird looking out your window and not having it in your drive anymore. I don't know why, but you feel like a part of you is missing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hopefully they get that back to you fairly quickly, because especially now, your grandson is growing up really fast, and I'm sure that he would like to go on some RVing trips this summer.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be out eventually, but right now we don't have any plans to really be anywhere until we know exactly when our RV is going to get fixed.
Okay. Well, I guess that is our show, and we hope you enjoyed it, of course. And we want to thank our sponsors, Battleborn Batteries and Wholesale Warranties. Because of their support, Sean and I are able to continue to do this show. And like we mentioned earlier, we do this show completely free. We have no Patreon or anything like that. But to kind of double down on that, if you guys could please take the time to go to any review, any way that you listen to the show, if there is somewhere for you to leave a review or a thumbs up or a ranking or anything like that, we would definitely appreciate it. And we will talk to you guys. Next Drivers Edition, I think they're usually in about every 6 weeks, but in between that, this one might go a little longer because our next 4 episodes will actually be podcast versions of our live episodes that we did at FMCA. And there was a lot of great guests. I think there was a lot of great information shared, and we did a lot of laughing. We had a lot of fun, and hopefully you get the feeling of being at that show live, listening to us as you listen to these next 4 episodes coming up.
All right. Safe travels, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.